Okay. Well, welcome to the Growth Series podcast, where we explore how AI is reshaping industries and accelerating innovation. I'm Josh Jackson, your host. At Red Letter AI, we specialize in helping coaching and consulting businesses scale their revenue. So if you're looking to take back your business to the next level, you're looking in the right place. And if you'd like a free growth consultation, just drop the word growth below in the comments. Today we have our guest Steven, and he's with Fifth Generation, and we're welcome to the show. Steven shows leaders how to use creativity as a real business strategy. After more than 20 years in leadership and having to reinvent himself after being let go, Steven knows firsthand how to cut through the noise, ask better questions, and help organizations lead through change. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by transformation, this is the conversation you don't want to miss. Steven, thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Oh, thanks for having us. Yeah, we're called Fifth Hammer Innovation. Just
Fifth Hammer
yeah,
Innovation.
to correct that. Yeah, so
Oh
sorry.
my God, so sorry. I wrote down the
No,
wrong
you're good.
thing.
That's all right.
Well, tell us a little bit more about your background and the journey that led you here to the Growth
All right.
Series podcast.
Yeah, so if you look back to when I was a student, I wasn't a very good student. So when I was a child, I stuttered. I had a very bad stutter. And because of that, I had to learn on my own. I couldn't ask questions. I couldn't do things. So that has always helped me keep my curiosity that most little kids lose as they go through the educational system. So when I graduated from high school, I joined the service. I spent time in the service, and then I came out. I worked in manufacturing. I went to a community college because I wanted to be an engineer, and then I ended up at a small rural state school to study print manufacturing. I graduated from there. I'm a first generation student. My life changed on that campus. I met my wife. Everything changed there. And then fast forward a few years later, I was invited back to teach there. So that led me to have a teaching career. I ended up getting my master's and my doctorate there. I taught for 11 years, and I spent 9 as associate provost of innovation, where I really sort of like kept honing my skill of curiosity and creativity. I kept asking questions like, hey, uh, can we really look at what's causing the problem here? Can we pull it apart? Can we get to the root cause analysis? Everything I learned in my past, I pulled forward, and I use that as experiences to try to push higher ed to be better and better and better.
Mhm. Okay. So when you zoom out and look at the wider landscape, what major
Mhm.
shifts or trends do you see shaping the industry?
So AI is obviously affecting a lot of industries, and a lot of it is people don't even know what it is or how to use it. So there's this whole concept or conversation around that. And what I always say is, when I was a child, I wasn't allowed to play with technology until I knew how it worked. So before I could drive a car, I had to know how the brakes work and the engine works and things like that. And before, when I got my first a computer, I built it. I built a computer so I knew how it worked. So with AI, so many people don't understand how generative AI works. And that's causing them to sort of like, instead of saying, oh, I understand how it works, this is how we could use it, they mirror what other people are doing. Oh, so and so is doing this, so we're going to do that. And that's been going on in higher education forever. Everybody mirrors the top schools. And the problem is, everyone can't be Arizona State. Everyone can't be Oregon. Everyone can't be Penn State. You have to embrace who you are. And if you take the time to pause, and that's the other big piece of this, I don't think leaders pause enough. I think we're caught up in such of a fast pace to get things done, to keep moving, that we fail to pause and be curious and create, and then come up with creative ways of using things. There's a gentleman called Duncan Wardle. He was the CEO of innovation for Disney, or something along that line.
Hmm.
And he talks about the alpha mindset and the beta mindset, and how most of us are caught in our beta mindset. An example of the beta mindset is, how many times have you arrived at your front door at home after a hard day at work and you don't recall driving home?
Hmm.
We're caught up in that task. Oh, I just got to get things done. And what he says is, if you pause and you introduce laughter and play and different things, you can shift out of that beta mindset into alpha mindset. And in alpha mindset, you can really pull from all of your experiences. So
Hmm.
everything I sort of try to help leaders do is I help them to instead of fill the space with answers, to hold the space and invite in curiosity and creativity.
Okay. I'd love for you to dive in a little bit more about that. Like your business, what is that you do? who you do it for, and how does that matter to your customers? I mean, I want to dive into more what you just said.
Yeah. So I spent a lot of time in higher education, but I'm looking to work in corporate world now. So I'm trying to navigate that path. So most of my activities have been in higher education, but I've been doing. I just presented at the Pittsburgh Human Resource Association conference last week on a creativity of the fourth frontier, because I'm passionate about this. So what we do at Fifth Hammer Innovation is we really define organized ways to identify creative strategies to solve your problems. So it's using human-centered design. I'm also certified in Lego Serious Play. It's using all these different collaborative practices where we teach leaders how to run better, effective meetings. Is an easy example. So in the US, we lose about $70 billion a year in poorly run meetings. If
Mm-hmm.
you ask most people, they've all sat in it. We've been people who were invited to meetings who shouldn't have been invited. We've been in meetings where no one knows why we're meeting. We've been in meetings that I should have been emails, and we also have had the unfortunate of being in meetings that I should have been a fist fight. But like as we go through these things, so as a leader, how do you craft a meeting to make sure it's actually accomplishing the goal of the meeting?
Yes.
So I talk about, hey, when you design a meeting, it's sort of the same way I used to design curriculum. I have a beginning and an end, and I have content in the middle. Either I'm using content to drive conversation, or I'm passing out information, or I'm gathering information.
Mm-hmm.
So if we design the meeting using those four criteria, we can actually design it so people know when it starts, they know when it ends, and when they end, there's actionable items, there's things that have to happen. Or if it's just an information meeting, we set that tone very early on, and people know this is just information. We're just information gathering. So
Right.
like, how do we run? So like, I'll do things to help people run better meetings. Another thing I'll do is a lot of times I'll have leaders who will call and say, hey, my team works in silos. We're a bunch of superstars, but we tend to be running in different directions.
Mm-hmm.
So I always talk about alignment and autonomy. Everybody tends to view, and this is what I actually learned this from Spotify. Everybody views alignment and autonomy as two opposite ends of a spectrum. But if you turn that into a grid where the x-axis is autonomy and the y is alignment, and you plot that as quadrants, if you have low autonomy, low alignment, everybody's sort of like doing their own thing. Nobody knows why they're doing them. And if you have low autonomy, high alignment, that's where the boss says, hey, we have to cross this river here, build me a bridge. So the boss not only identifies the problem, they identify the solution that turns the team onto it.
Mm-hmm.
If you have high autonomy, low alignment, you basically have a bunch of rock stars who are crushing it, but no one really knows if we're going in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have high alignment, high autonomy, that's where the boss says, hey, this is a challenge we're facing. We're not really sure how to use AI in our business. We know we can do something with it, but we're not sure what. What do you think we can do? And then you empower your people to be curious and to do things. And then behind that, you build techniques to help them do it in a way that doesn't hurt a company. So you bring in entrepreneurial skills like smart experimentation. Hey, we want to do we want to try this new thing with AI, but we want to do it in a small scale. So if it fails, it doesn't hurt us financially. But if it succeeds, we can build upon it.
Mm-hmm.
So we teach people. I teach people how to do smart experimentation, how to empower their people to think creatively. And the other thing I really uh, want to work with people on is making sure every voice in the room is heard. So we companies spend so much money to hire the right people, and then we tend to hypnotize them with the company line. So do you know how to hypnotize a chicken?
No.
Okay, so to hypnotize a
That
chicken,
sounds like a dad joke.
yeah, no. So to to hypnotize a chicken, if you hold its head in the ground on the dirt and you draw a line away from its beak,
Uh-huh.
the way its eyes see, it locks on the line and it will be frozen. It won't move.
Wow.
So that actually works. I've never tried it, but I've seen the videos. So, but that's what I feel like companies, we hire these people who have this great experience, who have all these skills that we want to bring into the organization,
Yeah.
and then we tell them, whoa, this is how we do it here.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't help you. Like, so I teach leaders to use a yes and instead of saying, oh yeah, that's great. No, we can't do it because. say yes and. Well,
Mhm.
all right, tell me more about that. Hey, can you explain that a bit further to me and help them fine tune it to where you can decide if it's something you can is actually feasible to try or not.
Yeah, and the one thing that I've been in meetings that you didn't mention that I have to mention is the people that host the meetings that just like hearing themselves talk, right? The ego,
They
right?
fill the space.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So,
Well,
well, I'd
as
love for you
leaders,
to,
they feel they have to have the answer. So like that's the other thing. Like we don't train leaders to be leaders.
yes. But John C. Maxwell always said, as a leader, you need to you build up other leaders below you to replace your job, basically,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
But I'd love for you to share, like you kind of gave some high level examples. Do you have a real life example of a customer who you helped achieve a meaning result?
Yeah. So I just worked with a advancement group, and this was a college advancement. So they're the people who go forth and seek donations. And the conversation we wanted to have was they have a board that has been very successful. The college has brought in a lot of money for a lot of years. But what they're realizing is in the advancement field, about 80% of the giving is coming from 1% of the wealth. So
Hmm.
most of the money is coming from boomers. So they wanted to have a conversation with this team about, hey, how do we close this current campaign, but how do we plan for future campaigns where we bring other generations into it? How do we get other people involved, understanding their characteristics? So I ran a session, and what we did is we started with a basic design thinking activity called Rosebud Thorn, where you give everybody three different colored post-its, and you have them write on one of them. Roses are things that they're doing well, buds are things where there's greater potential, and thorns are what's holding us back. So in this group of 14 or 50 people, we had them do that, and then I gathered all those post-its and I put them on three different walls. And then they worked as teams and they put them into clusters.
Hmm.
And by doing this, you take this large group and everyone who thinks they know what we're doing well and what we're not doing well, and you come up with these themes across all of those categories that really show them, oh wait, collectively we all think we're doing this well, or this is going on. And it does a couple things. By doing that, we silence the voices in the room that are the big voices because nobody knows who wrote what on the post-it. Everybody has a same color sharpies. Everyone used the same post-its, and I gathered them from tables so nobody knows who put what up.
Hmm.
So from there, we take them from this looking. So all right, let's really look at the problem, and then okay, so if we've done this correctly, we understand these are opportunities for us to be more successful. Okay, so well then let's take these, and then I did an activity which is called a round robin activity. You take an 8.5, 11 sheet of paper and you fold it like a Z, and you write, how might we improve engagement with the millennials? And then everybody writes a solution on it. And then everybody so you divide them into teams, and then those teams exchange the paper. And when they exchange the paper, the next group opens up to the second flap and they write down every reason they can't do that, what they said they were going to do.
Hmm.
And then you pass it around a third time, and that third group they have to read what we're going to do, why it's not going to work, and come up with solutions for why it's not going to work. So at the end of the meeting, I left this team with, a solid understanding of what they were trying to achieve, a very clear vision and purpose. But I also left them with 6 examples of things they could do or things they could put together to do something so they leave with actionable items.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. It's a really unique perspective and exercise to take a company through. So what's next? How do you see Fifth Hammer Innovation evolving over the next year, 2 years?
So I can see us offering online courses and teaching of how you can facilitate these sessions yourself. So to me, it's sort of like train the trainer. Anytime I go somewhere and I work with a company, it starts with what I call a resonance call. So we basically have a conversation about, hey, what's going on, what's happening. It's a 10-minute call. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to, so it's very short, very concise. I ask very specific questions, and at the end of the call, we know if we're going to be a match or not. I
Mm.
understand I'm not a match for everybody.
Hmm.
So once we have that, then we move to the actionable items. The actionable item is normally either a full day or a half day or multiple day activities where I come in and work with your team,
Hmm.
and then I match that up with coaching behind it. So not only do I help you do I run the activity for you and I come up with what's going to be next. I'm also your accountability buddy to make sure that after that incredible day we had, you don't lose energy 2 weeks later and fall back into the same traps you're falling into.
Hmm.
So I hope you pull that thread all the way through to completion. So what I do is when I do these activities, I tell everybody in the room, if you want to try these activities with your team, I fully support that. All I ask is that you call me beforehand so I can help you be successful, and then you offered to debrief it with me after you do it because I learned through your experience. So
Hmm.
I can see Fifth Hammer Innovation moving from where we're the consultant who comes in and works side by side to help you do these things to where I start training people within organizations with these skill sets so they can run those meetings, so they can develop leadership training so your leaders have these skill sets. So like it becomes part of the culture. So that's sort of like my goal is to be so successful I work myself out of work.
Right. I mean, it sounds like you have a great plan set up. You have a done for you, and you have a done with you kind of options, kind of tailored to customize it to the client that you're working with.
Yeah.
What stage is Fifth Hammer Innovation in right now? Like, what does growth look like for you over the next 12 months?
So we're 7 months in. So this, I literally began February 7th.
Okay.
So we are very in the early stage. So what I've been learning is on the entrepreneurial journey is it's not all the incredibly supportive Instagram posts you see about being an entrepreneur.
Correct.
It's much more
Okay.
like a roller coaster. You're very successful, you're not successful, not successful. So when I started this in February, one of the first clients I signed was West Point. So I was like, cool, this is going to be easy. And then summer came and the desert hit. And I was like, man, what's going on? So for me, it's really been tailoring my message and my marketing, figuring out how to be more successful in that way. And then my goal is to have 2 or 3 case studies going on every month. So what I offer is I offer to work with teams for a very small fee where we'll sort of try out some of these activities or I'll help you through a challenge. So I have to recognize the fact that because majority of my experience is in higher ed, some corporations are a little hesitant to work with me because of that academic stink I have on me. So I'm navigating that path. I'm slowly working my way in where I'm starting to work with HR and have conversations about, hey, if you have a leadership development program in your organization, do you teach creativity? Do you teach people how to be creative? Because as much as everyone believes creativity is a God-given skill, you're born with it or you're not. When we were all in kindergarten, we were all considered creative. So Sir Ken Robinson always had that. His TED talk was, "Does schooling kill creativity?" I agree. I think it does. But the beauty of that is everybody can be taught to be creative. So I teach you those techniques to get you to believe that you can be creative and to create space to invite creativity. And all of that starts with curiosity.
I like it. Uh, See, it sounds like you've had an incredible journey so far. Sounds like you have a lot of awesome goals ahead of you. So, what is the number one thing holding you back to achieve those 2 to 3 case studies each month? If I had a magic wand and I could fix that one thing right now that's holding you back from your growth, what would it be?
It'd be the connection. So it's the whole funnel, and I hate talking about the funnel, but it's the whole funnel. Like I have people on top of the funnel, and at first it was taking me 6 months to get them from top to close. So I've installed gates and I've improved that process, but it's still getting people to really understand what I do, because what I do is sort of nebulous, is how I'll say it when we start talking about creativity and curiosity. So it's showing that ROI. How quickly can I show the ROI? And that's why I'm willing to work with people for a discounted rate of what I would normally charge to build those case studies so I can say, hey, look, I've done this with this person. This was the return on investment. Uh, if you look on my website, I have some pretty awesome testimonials about who I've worked with and what we've accomplished.
Mhm.
But selling that value is the piece that is sort of the little hiccup for me.
Yeah, I've worked with a lot of businesses before, internet marketing and coaching, consulting, and you don't need too many of those to do that. Like, I know a company that worked with one person for free. They got an amazing result. That's all they needed, and they started,
Yeah.
charging what they normally would
Yeah.
charge. So you don't
Well,
need.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah. I feel like I'm sure you've heard the term a blue ocean.
yeah,
I'm working in blue ocean.
yeah.
So not only do I have to sell what I do, I have to very clearly state what I do and what the impact is.
Yep. Yeah, but I'm sure you got that red ocean that you can pull those people over into,
That's yep.
right?
Yeah, if you fish on that border
Yep.
and you start hitting people, and that's what like it's funny. I do a Lego series play, which is exactly as it sounds. I come to you with packets of Legos and we go through activities with them. And I am shocked at how many people are like, "Oh no, we can't do Legos with my team." And I have to explain to them like Lego's Serious Play was around since the 70s and it's been done. Like it's part of the reason Chick-fil-A has such a fast drive-through. They use Lego Serious Play to come up with better solutions in the drive-through. Like Google has used Lego Serious, like all these major companies have used Lego Serious Play, but this small little manufacturing company is like, oh no, we can't be caught playing with Legos. And it's like you're not playing with Legos. This is part of a piece. But it's funny, like you have to sort of like help people get to that point where they understand it, where you're like, look, just come and try it. Like I'll do a teaser class for people. Come to that teaser class and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then because normally if I do that, that's when people come and experience it and they're like, oh, you have to come and work with my team. It's like, yes, like that's the point. That's
Yeah.
so
That's funny. We don't play with Legos here.
but it's that mindset they feel and it's part of that beta mindset in that, I can't waste money. And what will people think if they see my team playing with Legos?
Right.
Well, if you get incredible thoughts out of it and ways to solve a recurring issue, the ROI on that is worth the little bit of embarrassment you think you're going to feel from playing with Legos.
Right. Right. That's interesting. I mean, that says it all right there. Chick-fil-A, like it's incredible how fast our drive-through. I mean, I don't know if In-N-Out does the same thing, but
Yep.
or even
But
announce
yeah,
that. Like, holy cow.
but
It's
yeah, Chick-fil-A looked at it and they re-examined it. I mean, everybody, it's funny, like nobody talks about the Savannah bananas. I'm sure you know the Savannah bananas, they travel around. It's like baseball done differently.
uh-huh.
But like that's a business model for like companies now. Like there's no reason you couldn't take that model where they were like, hey, look, just because baseball's always been played this way, do we have to play it that way?
Yeah.
And like if you lean into that, that's the a curiosity. If you open that door and say, hey, do we have to do it this way? So when I worked in manufacturing, I worked for a company and we were printing recipe labels for vodka bottles, little like postage stamp size. And I wanted to run them on the press a certain way. So I went out to our production manager and said, hey, can we print this way? And he's like, no. And I said, why not? And he's like, we just can't. I said, no, show me. I said, show me on the press why we can't. So he took me up on the press and he showed me like, you're trying to do this. I said, okay, if I don't do that, could I do this? And I came up with a different way of running it because now I understood how it worked. And he's like, yeah, we could do that, but setup's going to be really long. I said, not a problem. So that was a very competitive bid for the Pittsburgh or for the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board. So we submitted our bid with everyone else. And our salesperson got a phone call and they said, hey, we think you left something out of this quote because you were thousands of dollars lower than everyone else. And he came back and he's like, you guys, I screwed this up. I said, it's not screwed up. I said, we can run it the way no one else can. Like that number's right. We're going to make a ton of money. We got the job and we made a ton of money. And it started
Wow.
because I was curious enough to say, well, wait, why can't I do this?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't take the no, hey, I'm busy, I can't answer that. No, tell me, like, walk me through this so I understand it. And then, I'll never ask you again. But with that better understanding, because once I run it this way, then other people are going to see how I ran it. And then they're
Mhm.
going to start running things that way. And it creates this space for us to really have a really cool niche. But if I would have taken that no and just walked away, it would have come down to pricing and nobody wins in a price war. It's just a race to the bottom, as Seth Godin
Exactly.
says.
I was gonna say it's a race to the bottom,
Yep.
right? I mean, if you're not what is how does Russell say it? If you're not the
Um,
if you're
I
not
know what
the
you're saying.
cheapest, be the most expensive.
Yep. Yeah. Because and that was like I've always thought that well, I feel that about higher education. Like people want to say, oh, look at the value we are. Don't sell yourself for being cheap. Like
No,
there's no benefit in being the Walmart.
no,
Walmart's already the Walmart.
right,
Like what makes you special? And then that specialness comes at a price.
right.
And
Nordstrom's
I've had this
for a
conversation with
reason.
people who have wanted to work with me, and they're like, "Oh man, your price." And I'm like, "Look, I have a unique set of experiences. I have lived a glorious life. I've been in the service, I've been in manufacturing. I had 11 jobs in 1 year. Like
Mm,
I've done a lot of different things. I've
yeah.
taught, I've been a leader. I've I worked for a company where I delivered leadership training and design conferences. I said I have a really unique set of experiences, and that's what you get when I come.
Nice. Well, based on your unique experiences, I would love to wrap it up by asking you, what's the best piece of business advice you've ever received?
Oh, so this goes back to my father, and the best business advice I ever heard from him was, um, oh, how did he say it? Oh, I can't think of it. But like basically, to always be curious,
Mm,
to don't let people tell you this is the best way to do it unless you really know that's the best way to do it.
okay.
Like to continue to push and that has in my journey guided me through so much.
Yeah.
I've never been someone like even when I started teaching, it wasn't like, oh, this is the way you teach. I was always looking at bringing in virtual reality or something else and doing things differently to sort of push that space. And I think if you're not learning every day and being curious every day, it life becomes very monotonous.
Right. So I have a 13-year-old daughter, a stepdaughter, and if you're going to give advice to a younger person or yourself at 13, 15, 16 years old, what would that advice be?
Learn, be curious and learn every day. Like it doesn't have to like it's not about getting a degree in engineering or it's about learning how to learn and learn how you learn. We all learn differently. So I stuttered as a kid. I don't really learn through auditory. I learn by like show it to me and then let me do it.
Yep.
I'm a constructivist. I want to like let me take it apart and rebuild it, and then I'll have an understanding how it works. Let me really like play with it. Don't give me a 1 hour lecture and then give me an assessment. Like
Yeah.
so, to me, what I always tell my sons, I have 3 sons, and I've said, look, anything you're interested in, be interested in. If it's the stars, if it's mythology, if it's don't let anyone tell you, oh man, why are you reading about Greek mythology? Doesn't matter whatever you're passionate about, study it as far as you can. Be passionate about it because that'll teach you how to learn in other ways.
That's great, great advice. Great advice. Well, from there, we can wrap everything up. But one before we go, please tell people how they can learn more about you or get in touch with yourself or your team.
So you can find me on a LinkedIn. It's just Steve Whitehead. It will be a artist image of the back of my head of me looking out in the ocean with big headphones on. And you can reach me at my website, www.fifthhammerinnovation.com. And from there, if there's a button, you can click for the 10-minute call. And really, I promise you, it's 10 minutes, short and sweet. I'll ask you a couple questions, and even if we don't work, if we don't agree that we're a good fit, you'll leave there with a suggestion of something you could do to improve what you're struggling with.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Steve. I appreciate you being on the podcast today.
Thanks, Josh.
Okay, bye.